We're back with Emily Manthei. Welcome back, Emily.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Emily is a American-born filmmaker based in
Mhm.
Germany, back in LA to be a part of the release of her first feature.
Yeah.
First feature, congrats, Emily, was here earlier with a short a number of years ago. The
Yeah.
feature is called Berlin Loop. Emily, welcome back. And please, if you can
Thank you.
introduce yourself a little bit as well as set up Berlin Loop.
Sure. Thanks so much for having me, Constantine. It's very exciting to make a first feature, especially after having made a bunch of shorts. I've been working in film for almost 20 years. I lived in Los Angeles for a long time and moved about 9 years ago to Berlin. And that's shortly around the time that we met each other, when
Yeah.
I had done a short um, uh, about history and memory in Berlin. And the feature that I've just did is also very much about the city of Berlin. It's about a girl who gets stuck in a bike theft gang and sort of has to find her way out. But has to go through she goes through a time loop many times. So she continues to have opportunities to find her way out and instead finds her way kind of deeper inside.
All right. Cool. Thanks, Emily. Looking back and reflecting on what it was a number of years ago, but I remember the themes of the film that you explore, very much historical context. I think there was some sci-fi stuff in it. So we've got, again, those themes of time and
Mhm.
history, and especially the past that you're exploring. And through this kind of sci-fi lens, and the characters also very much. I think something that I've noticed, at least in the last short that I recall, is this kind of alienated character. So, to get kind of a little more in the meat of the story for the audience, we've got this young woman. We don't really understand her background too much. We know she's orphaned. She seems to be from Turkey. She's in Berlin. She has this ability to break into any sort of lock imaginable, basically, special power. And she uses it, and she sort of breaks into something she's not supposed to, and she kind of goes down this like wormhole in time and is able to use it to repeat going through the past and trying to maybe refine what she's the mistakes that she's made the first time. And there's this like entrapment in this gang, as you said, and there's this whole kind of interplay with the theme of revenge, and she's trying to get at this guy and take this guy down, who is the leader of the gang, and then she ultimately finds that kind of disappointing or even upon success not rewarding. It's still she's sort of empty, and in the meanwhile she's engaged in going to some kind of like modality of the therapy where she's kind of mandated by the state to see someone, and she's like still kind of acts out as this very alien independent creature person, young person, lashing out and is really cocooned herself in her own kind of resilience or empowerment, self-empowerment. And ultimately we see her emerge through this journey where she discovers that revenge isn't going to lead her to freedom. She's looking for some semblance of home, and in order to get to that place of where she's comfortable in her own skin, at least beginning anew, as she has to give up this idea of the past or trying to rework it or fix it
Mm,
or,
mm,
so
mhm.
these themes that you're exploring, all universal themes, how how did they come from your own life? How did I do in explaining the film? Is there anything you need to fill in there for me or fix or, augment a little bit? And then the question really is, how did it come from your own life? Where is it that you found yourself stuck in the past? How did that theme emerge in the character, and how have you been wrestling with it?
Mm. Well, I think you did a really good job of explaining the film and the themes and kind of what's happening to her. And like one of the major themes is isolation versus community. And that was something I really wanted to explore about Berlin because I think it is this really interesting mix of those two things. A lot of people go to Berlin to find themselves, to free themselves. Um, it's a place that allows a lot of different kinds of freedom, but sometimes that becomes at the expense of relationships or like relationships kind of can be more shallow because people just want that freedom. But at the same time, Berlin is also a very collectivist city. There's a lot of activism and a lot of community. For people who have lived there a long time, a lot of artists form collectives together so that they have a space to do work and they invite other people into that space. There's a lot of community gardening. Um, there's a lot of community if you find it, but there's this kind of tension between the inside and the outside, between isolation and community. And that was a big, especially being an immigrant, moving to a place, trying to figure out how to fit into that, how you're on the outside, and in some ways, moving far away from home does put you deliberately on the outside and on your sort of path of isolation. So, kind of figuring out the interplay between those things was a big motivation for making the movie, as well as kind of wrestling with the idea of money, which in our society, it's something we value. It is the one thing that we're all chasing and we don't know when we found it. It, we kind of don't recognize when we found it. And the character in the movie, she at first feels very underprivileged, undervalued, and actually needs more money to survive, but doesn't understand, when she's had enough, there's never enough. And I think that can be the same thing. Like, money is sort of a physical representation of that. It's like a societal value, but it can be the same thing with freedom, independence, like not actually realizing when you have it and constantly seeking more. Um, and I think that is another thing about Berlin that I was really noticing. People go to a lot of extremes, a lot of a lot of strong extremes of whatever their personality is or whatever that thing that they're searching for is. So those were kind of all of my inspirations behind it, and I feel like time, which kind of shows us our mistakes, especially if, and it's something that we can't repeat and that we don't we're not in control of it, and the desire to control it um, kind of allows you to show lessons from time.
All right, thank you.
Mhm.
I like how you know, those three primary themes relate to another through the lens of time and this idea of pursuit. So whether we're pursuing our own individuality and how that plays out with a pursuing community and or a sense of independence, whether that's through money or a sense of safety through money, whatever that might be. Um, when have we arrived at that place and trying to see what it is that really fulfills us, and through the lens of time we can kind of see, was it really money, or am I still empty in some way inside? Is there some other longing that I was trying to fill? And this character does really ultimately come to a place where the money doesn't do it. The power didn't do it through the lens of revenge. Um, the only thing that really gave her some sense of belonging is this vision of home that she
Mhm.
attains at the end, some sort of place where that's hers and she belongs, and there's some continuity of history that it
Mhm.
was given to her in some way. So
And
with
connection to other people.
True. Yeah. The
Mhm.
neighbors. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, the neighbors that she meets. So, and it's, from your particular lens too of like exploring the allure of the city, whether it's Berlin or New York or LA or any one of these cities where, a lot of young people go to find independence or,
Hmm.
especially if they didn't feel like they fit in as
Hmm.
in their other places. So, you know, the kind of the bucolic ideal of that you have the pastoral landscape in the end. You go to
Hmm.
that nature sense of home, which is
Hmm.
outside of the city in this narrative context, Berlin Loop. So, having said that and exploring these like themes that are so universal and as we mature and as we adult and the character is very young still, and as you are further on in your journey than the character that you've explored. How do you see your work, Berlin Loop, now? And what is the meaning and the message that you take away for yourself in order to guide yourself in your own future?
Hmm. I I wanted I wanted to show a character that um, finally finds belonging in herself and also in her ability to kind of stop the hustle. And I think that for myself is it has been a big theme as I've gotten older. Like, how do I stop just chasing? Because just chasing takes so much energy and it becomes your personality more than things that you do or that are important to you. And actually, it's the relationships, the people in your life that give your life quality and meaning. So I really wanted to show that, and not only in the movie itself, but in the making of the movie. How do I stop the hustle in trying to make something, and how do I rely more on the connections around me to do that? So I think that was my big takeaway.
That's beautiful. I think it's part of, I got sucked into the hustle and
Hmm.
it
Hmm.
it hurt. It really
Hmm.
hurt.
Hmm.
And the hustle kind of gives you the allure of like that carrot. You're gonna make it. You're gonna be making the money, the work, the art
Hmm.
that you want to
Hmm.
do or feel you can or whatever it might be. And then the at some point you get burnt out,
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
whether you succeed financially or fan base or whatever it might be. At some point you hit that burnout wall, and then you've got to recontextualize what is it that makes you happy.
Hmm.
And like you said, it's no longer about the fruit of the labor. It's not necessarily even the labor. The labor
Hmm.
started off, especially as artists, filmmakers that all can relate to this. You know,
Hmm.
filmmakers are not going to, most filmmakers are not going to break through to Hollywood. It's just
Hmm.
the reality of
Hmm.
the
Hmm.
numbers,
Hmm.
whether they're awesomely talented or not.
Hmm.
Um, sorry. And yet, and neither is, a bunch of other artists.
Yeah. Musicians, they're all in the struggle.
They're all not going to
Hmm.
make it. It's a
Hmm.
small
Hmm.
pool, and it's,
Hmm.
so that said, how do you then find meaning in your own self? Like the way you
Hmm.
put it is that this character
Hmm.
is finally comfortable being herself,
Hmm.
you know?
Hmm. Yeah, in making the film, I mean, I had, in my version of this, in my version of The Hustle, I was trying to make a feature film for a long time. I was like, writing scripts and sending them to contests and trying to get a lot of money to do the movie. And when I moved to Berlin and was able to do some short films just with people kind of as a hobby, basically, I I realized, oh, actually, just creating things and creating things collectively with other people is very satisfying because the whole process of it is satisfying. So I wanted to do a feature in that way that could be very collaborative, that the other creative people on the team felt like they had some ownership and agency, and everybody got paid very little but exactly the same from PA to DP. So it was an ultra low budget movie that everybody felt like they contributed something valuable to it, and it was kind of a collective thing. And I found that just in the treatment of people and like not not undervaluing anybody's contribution or having it be about money, either about making money with the movie or, everybody making money on the movie, removing money as much as I could from the whole concept of it, kind of just made it about doing something together again. And that was really, really satisfying. And that was exactly it was about the relationships, which I still have those relationships with all of those people now,
Yeah.
and and um, and that felt really like creating meaning. And it was like creating meaning to the people that worked together on it, where we could talk about the themes of the movie, and that it was really important to all of us.
Yeah, that's great. And I love how you added that you still have relationships with them now,
Mhm,
which is not always the case when you're on an intense film set and the energy's different.
mhm,
Um, so now where you're at, you've made this feature, you're sort of, it sounds like you're finding meaning in the collaboration and the process of creating the work
mhm,
more so than the results or the success
mhm,
or material gain. Um, how do you live your life going forward, I guess, as an artist or even, forget an artist, just as a person in terms of what brings you fulfillment?
mhm. I think I've realized that having integrity in how you pursue something from the beginning to how it turns out at the end is what brings me fulfillment in work, for sure. Um, so I I realize it's less important for me to just keep on making things unless it can follow exactly my rules of keeping integrity in it. So that actually offers me a lot of freedom,
Yeah.
um, a different kind of freedom, a freedom that says, okay, I don't have to do this. I don't have to say yes to anything. I don't have to do something. I mean, even in creating this tour for the movie, which is also very grassroots, it's also just me and my producer who have become really close through the process of doing this. Um, we're like, we sort of self-funded it all. We're basically trying to break even on the tour.
That's
Um,
amazing.
but
I
it's
mean, you could
but
do
it's
that.
it's really, I mean, we're having individual screenings in cities basically where we know people, where we have some sort of community, create a community activity like a cycle ride to the festival, or I mean to the film.
Oh, cool.
Um,
Uh-huh.
so we did a screening last week with a friend of mine who runs a techno party. So we had a techno party, and after we had the film, we had a little panel on affordable housing, and then with some
Oh,
community
cool.
organizers, and
Oh,
then
wow.
and then we had a techno party.
Brilliant.
So I have even having the marketing and promotion part of the film follow this idea of community building
Yeah.
and just including the ideas and themes of the film with the people that are watching it and hearing what they think.
Super cool.
I find that this is like I would rather do this. I would rather have this like basically this six screening tour and get to know people and get to like hear what they think and share my thoughts about affordable housing and cycling and all these other things rather than have the movie screen in 3,000 theaters where I don't get to interact with anybody.
Yeah, yeah, no, I totally get that. It's a totally different experience and it's
Hmm.
grassroots, authentic, and
Hmm.
it's special, it's unique, and it's
Yeah.
not about the size, right?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, it's
Hmm.
just about the experience, and that's I think another thing in the film is that, being present is what enriches the experience.
Yeah.
That integrity piece that you just offered is so huge, and I find it to be really apropos to the theme of the past that kind of sums everything up. Because you know what? If you're in integrity, you don't have to go relive the past and clean that shit up. It's
Exactly.
already good.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. And I think it's like, how can we actually encounter the present right now, which I mean, just being back in the US and listening to the news, I'm just like, I just arrived in this
don't do it.
dystopian novel.
Don't do it.
How did this happen?
Yeah.
But I mean, yes, we can get out on the streets and demonstrate, but I think in our daily lives, what can we do? We can counter politicians and these greater government forces that are so disingenuous, dishonest, and do not live in integrity by living our lives with integrity.
There
Like
you go.
that's all we do.
Beautiful. That's beautiful. That's it. Ram Dass, I don't know if you know or heard of him, but
Hmm. Hmm.
he says the greatest thing that any individual can do for someone else is to work on themselves. So,
Absolutely.
the best thing I can do for you is work on me, and
Hmm.
we can
Hmm.
be as
Hmm.
happy as can be.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right, Emily Manthei, filmmaker, thank
Mhm.
you so much for
Thank you.
guiding us and showing us the way.
Thanks for having me. It was really a great conversation.
Thank you. Appreciate it. The
Yeah.
film is Berlin Loop. Where is it going to be? I don't know when we put this out, but
Yeah.
soon. We'll make it happen soon.
Well, this week it's probably this probably isn't going to be out by
Okay.
Friday, but this Friday it's going to be at Laemmle Royal in Los Angeles. Next week, Tuesday, we're in Minneapolis at the Main. We're having our like a cycle ride to the cinema, and then October 2nd it'll be at in Greenpoint at the
Oh, wow.
Film Fatale, no, the Film Noir Theater in Greenpoint. And after that, on October 11th in Wilmington at the Wilmington International Film Festival in Delaware.
That's so awesome, Emily. I mean, what a cool thing to do. And it's just a beautiful, um, result of your continued integrity. So it's just a really cool. Enjoy the ride. And
Thank
until next
you.
time, everybody, I'll play it
Yeah.
forward. Bye.
Bye.